What's up, everyone? And today we'll be talking about Dead Space. I mean, the Callisto Protocol. Is it worth the play? I'll make it quick if you want the easy answer, yes, but only if it's on sale. I do not believe at the current time of this video that the game is worth the full price, but it is still a decent buy. However, if you are really a fan of the Dead Space series, you might get more value out of it than anyone else. First off, let's talk about the number one biggest complaint, the bugs. It's going to be a serious issue that a lot of new games suffer from. They come riddled with bugs that are unplayable and are not properly optimized on release, which really hurts the game itself. But besides that, I recently got this game right after they put out a big patch, and to be honest, my game didn't have that many frame rate issues or crashes. However, I do have the 4080s, so I might be a bit biased. The only thing concerning me was the fear that my computer was actually about to lift off from how much air was being blown from the fans to take flight and blast a hole through my ceiling. But seriously though, I know some people were having major issues and I can see why this game might be difficult to run on lower specs. Any game that constantly crashes makes you more frustrated to play it, but in my playthrough, I didn't experience anything game breaking. Only thing was this one mob you try to dodge in melee, but you never can really hit him, and then you just one taps you. Don't know if that was intended or if it actually was a bug. Which brings us to the next topic, the graphics. This is the reason I believe that this game was really hard to run for some people. The graphics will have you saying, wow. I think the most enjoyable thing about this game was watching the cutscenes. It was very surreal, the entire environment, but maybe this was because this was the first real new game I was playing on my 4080, and before I was using the Toaster 2070. But there's mountains, there's snow, the moon, the people, the suits, monsters, buildings, everything is well detailed. I actually hated healing myself for how poor of an animation this was. They spent all this time into making the breathtaking space area, and they decided to create the animation for the heal in less than a minute. You could probably train a dolphin to create something better than this. It's literally just a rectangle shrinking down in size, and it's not placed properly, so you see the entire thing. But that honestly has no impact on how the game actually plays. Everything was fun to walk around and explore. Take your time to enjoy the environment. Looking at the monsters, the cutscenes, with how graphically dense a lot of the textures were, is why I can see older systems struggling to run the game. No matter how far you get into this game, you can never shake the feeling like you've been here before, like this is some Doctor Strange alternate universe. This feels like it's an indie version of a pilot version of Dead Space. The reason why I say that is because it was made from the same guy who made the original Dead Space, but it has a different story in combat, but you're constantly faced with so many similarities. I only assume that they probably couldn't make Dead Space 4, so they just settled for something in the same genre. Just to name a few, it's the same concept: space, zombies, power of the force, you got guns, suits, health bar on the back, sound effects, and the biggest thing, to loot enemies, you have to hit their dead bodies to get the loot. For this reason is why I say if you're a big Dead Space fan, this was really enjoyable for me because I haven't played Dead Space in the longest time, and to relive the same theme with better graphics was very pleasing. The graphics alone are really what hold it all together. Fighting these monsters in space has a real nice look to it. Now, let's talk about some of the negatives. The gameplay and the story. It's your typical zombie story you can find anywhere. You can sense what was going to happen next with a lot of things before they did, but I don't want to reference anything here. I admit I still enjoyed watching all the cutscenes to figure out what was truly going on, but at times it felt a little dull. This game was a little shorter, around 8 to 10 hours. They did just release a new Game Plus mode, which I think will be fun to go back and replay with all the upgrades. I do also want to mention that a lot of people are mad with how the game ended, and I'll get to that a bit later. I will give it probably like a 10 for the graphics and then like a 7 for the story. Zone pacing. I think this was done really well. You're only in the same area for about an hour to 2 hours at most, so it doesn't really feel like you're trapped in one place for too long. Enemies. The enemies, I will say, are decently repetitive. You often do not fight a variety at one time. It's usually just the same mob coming at you, but you have to take that with a grain of salt because games like Call of Duty, it's not like there are diverse enemies in the game like, oh my god, now I'm fighting a guy who has different hairstyle. Like, oh man. There's enough variation for it to be okay for how long the game was, but I do think there should be a tiny bit more. You got small, big, long, and crawly things, then eventually they all get upgrades. That's about it, and attack you all in the same way. If there was some variation to how they attacked you, I think that would be a little bit better, but generally most of them are the same. Now there are a couple of different things that do reappear with the explodey guys and like small parasite thingies, which do add a little more to it, but you rarely fight them. I think if there were more of these things mixed together, it would feel better. And if you're like me, you'll have one nemesis the entire game, the pocket. I hated fighting this thing. No matter how many times I fought it, I never learned my lesson. This thing is everywhere, ready to suck you into its gaping hole. I mean, if you're into that type of thing, by all means, let it win. The combat. A lot of people will also say that this was really repetitive as well, blah, blah, blah. You go into a Call of Duty game, what do you expect? You know, you to be summoning a Pokemon to take on the enemy's attack? Like, go Charizard, take out the enemies approaching with Flamethrower. It's just not going to happen. You know what you're getting. It's not that bad. It is a little repetitive, but it takes a little bit to learn the system, and the melee attacks feel rewarding. You can feel the pressure packed behind every swing. Crushing these zombies is really satisfying. I will talk a little bit about how the combat actually plays at the end, because for me, knowing what was good is kind of a spoiler in the game. So I'll leave that as is for now. So I'll go with a 7 out of 10 for both combat and enemies. I want to note real quick that your backspace is incredibly small. I feel like my inventory was constantly full, so remember to sell anything you have a surplus of. I wish there was a different container for currency items, but unfortunately there wasn't. Don't forget that this is also a horror game. There are a lot of moments in the game where they try to gross you out and get you with some jump scares. The sounds play a huge part, and I think a couple of places they did a real good job at actually catching you off guard. I don't think it is as scary compared to some other games, but still add something if you want a game with a bit of a spooky experience. DLC. I think this is where it actually messed up. For them to include the ideas of skins and for them to not have any you can obtain by doing certain challenges in game, it kind of is a blow. The only way to get them is if you pre order or buy the new pass. I get the idea of having more skins, but they should at least have some base skins to work for in the game. Then they were saying you have to pay for permadeath game mode. Why isn't that baseline for, as like a future update is beyond me, but maybe it is. I mean, I wasn't gonna play it anyway because it'd be too difficult for me, but to pay for an extra difficulty is kind of crazy. However, this one is 50-50. They are adding a new mode, and I think it's supposed to be wave based. Technically, it's a new content, so it makes sense to pay for it, but at the same time, the game only has a 9-hour campaign. So with the new game plus mode that they just added for free at least, but at some point, there's nothing else to do, so it's a toss up on whether this should be free or like a $10 add on. Then, what people are really mad with, they're adding more content to the story. I think that is okay and is something you can purchase. Almost every game has extra DLC that has more story. The only problem with this, people are saying, oh, the main story doesn't end, you have to buy it. And people are agitated from that. I mean, like, I sort of agree with them on this because, semi spoiler, it ends as a cliffhanger. Just like any other game wants to add a part 2 to a game, I think ending was okay for what it was. They left it open so maybe more could happen. Most of the main story technically ended and there's a chance there's more. It's okay for a game to leave off on a cliffhanger like that. A lot of games do. However, since the game is kind of short, people feel that it should have just been included instead of as a DLC. But I think it's just fine the way it was. Overall, I'd give this game a 7 out of 10. Graphics were amazing, but the story and gameplay bring it down a bit. I think with having a new game plus, the zombie waves, and the new story mission, it might become like an 8 out of 10 and like an overall more pleasing experience. It's a good game, just not great. But it's also not as bad as other people were saying. With all of its quirks, I still enjoyed playing it all the way through to the end. I do stand by my point, it's a game to get on sale, but not at full price. It is an enjoyable space horror game with some spook, nice graphics and cutscenes, decent combat system, and with an okay story. That's it. That's the end of the video. I briefly went over how I felt about certain aspects of the game and hope I was able to help with some decisions on whether or not people wanted to play it or not. If you do end up downloading it, hope you have fun hunting space zombies. If I missed anything, please let me know down below. I'll update it in my description. Let me know your experience with the game as well. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time. Here are some of my other takes that might be considered to be spoilers, so view at your own discretion. It's about the gameplay. Every enemy plays the same way where you have to dodge, dodge, swing, swing, shoot. And it does take some getting used to. But by the time you get used to it, which is about like maybe 5 hours, it starts to feel repetitive, but it's still fun. You really do feel the power pack behind all the swings, and for the guns, I'm pretty sure they were useless. I mean, maybe with full upgrades they could be OP, but I spent my points in melee and force glove. I only used my gun on certain enemies and whenever they had the combo critical point. I tried to enjoy the melee combat as much as I could, and then when I got bored, I went to the easy OP route, the force push. This thing makes combat a joke. You find any spiked wall or machine and just throw them in and blend them up, which at some points is satisfying. I also liked at one point there was kind of like a stealth aspect, which was another easy way to deal with a lot of mobs. But overall, they could have added a little more to make it feel a bit more engaging instead of becoming a Sith Lord and blowing everything to bits with every knockback. It is a good combat system. If the enemies had a little more variation in combos, it would have been great. I think that's about it. I also compiled some clips of me playing as well. Same thing, view at your own discretion. This was my first review video, and if you enjoyed it, subscribe and let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to make more videos like this. Any other things you would hope to see in the next video so I can make it better, let me know as well. Thank you for watching, and see ya. Dude, that pipe always scares the shit out of me every time I walk past it. And we could have worked this out peacefully. Now I have to fight the zombie thing that just ripped that guy's head off. Oh! Ooh! Alright, first death acquired. What's this guy doing? Hold on, there's a box. Oh, that's not a loot box! What is this? Not a good thing. I guess there was like just slight technical difficulties with the surgery. Alright, look at him next time. Like, sucks, but and it sucks if someone was on that. Ring. Oh shit! That actually scared the shit out of me. I have like a constant like headache. A little bit tired. Oh my god! Fucking Christ! Danger noodle. Yo, he went back into his fucking gross ass pocket. What the fuck? That was by far the most disgusting thing I've seen so far. Not scared by Steam. Ah! Damn it! I knew it! I felt it! I felt its presence! Wasn't quick enough again. Forgot I'm gonna catch on. Ooh, health injectors, nice. Can I climb up? Whoa! Oh. Okay. Yeah, the weapons are definitely underwhelming. I mean, even if you maybe if you upgrade them, they'll be good. That was satisfying. Alright, 1, 2. Ooh, it's spraying blood too. Oh no. I'm covered. On. Go down. Oh. Not this time. Oh my god, I just walked into the blade. Now. Walk right into it and I don't have to do anything. You gotta scare them a little bit, get them agitated, and then wait. How the fuck did that even suck me up that time? Then fight for him. Oh, I don't know what the fuck. That guy just fucking forced pumped me. I don't know what's going on there. Ready. Unless there's an upgrade that makes this like one shot. I was ready to go on this guy. Oh, he fell over. Oh, 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 let's go. Oh. Got him. That sound effect.